Hello, welcome to Fisher Chess classes. Today we are going to study the windmill. Windmill is a concept which is played in the game of Century by Bobby Fischer. You can check that in YouTube. Beautiful game played by the Bobby Fischer when he was just 13-year-old, and he beaten the Grandmaster of US in the tactic which he used in that game. It's called windmill. So today's topic is also windmill. Now here it's White is almost losing this game. This game was played by Emmanuel Lasker, and you can see here this bishop is pinned because now if you move the bishop anywhere, White is going to lose his queen. Now if I ask you to pause the video and just find out what should White play in this move. So take your time, pause this video and check it out how White should continue from this position. Lasker played in this game bishop to f6. It's a very surprising move because now White is losing a queen in this position. So black takes queen, and now here is a trick called windmill. It's a tactic. Rook takes g7. Now if you can see the king having only one square, which is king to h8, and now rook takes f7. As black queen cannot take this rook because there is a discovered check, so king has to go back to the g8, and again rook to g7. Again there is no square for the king, so king has to go on h8, and now rook takes bishop again. King g8, which is a force move, and again check, and this is called this is loop, which we are playing from the white side. It's called windmill. And again king h8. Of course this is your choice whether you want to take or not, because if you take this pawn, then black rook file will be open, so not recommended to take this pawn, and directly go for the rook g5, where king has to go h7, and we can take the queen. Now if we see this position, this game is absolutely winning for the white. Here there's an option, you can take rook takes h7, king g8, and then rook g7, again king h8, rook g5, and you can take this. But now here black will get a counter attack with the rook takes a2, and rook at 7th rank or rook at 2nd rank is not good for the white. Of course we should not give any chance to our opponent to back into the game. So in this position is advisable rook g5 and take a queen, and it's clearly winning for the white. Let's go to the next next position. Again this is the windmill position. Now here if you able to capture bishop takes pawn, then you can start the windmill. But the problem is this queen is guarding this c6 pawn. So first you have to use your decoy or deflection strategy. So pause this video, take a 2 minute, and think how should white continue. Wonderful. If you find the move bishop takes e5, it's a fantastic move, bishop takes e5, which has been played in the game. But here white is having this rook takes bishop. He does not want to go for queen takes. And here is a trick. White is again giving his sacrifice. Queen takes rook. Now it's a force to take queen takes queen, and now windmill started by bishop takes c6. Now king to b8 force move, and now rook to b7 check. King having only one square a8, rook takes bishop. King again b8, rook to b7 again. King a8, rook takes bishop again, and again rook to b7 and rook to e7. Finally knight cannot take this because this is a discovered check, and now rook takes queen, and this game you can see that white is clearly winning. Let's go to the next position. Again this is little tricky. It's a black to play, and again if I ask you to pause the video, what should black play in this game? So black wanted to deflect this knight from this position to both the rooks should get connected. So black sacrifice queen to h4. Knight takes h4, and now bishop takes e3. Now the next is a discovered check, and white is gonna black is gonna win this game. So black also sacrificed queen, knight, so pawn takes, and now he played the g3 to just have some space for his king. So now rook to e2, king back to the h1, rook takes rook, king to g2, and now rook to g1 check. King h3, knight f2 check, and now pawn king to h4. Now you can pause your video and calculate how black can win in this game. Now this is a mate in 2. If you want to check, you can pause your video and just find out how black will win with the mate in 2. Wonderful. If you find the move rook to f4, sacrificing the rook again. Now there is no option. You have to you have to take this rook. So pawn takes rook, and rook h4, rook to g4 is a checkmate. This is also good example. Let's go to the next example of windmill. Now here it's a white to play. So white simply played here bishop to d4, pinning this knight, of course. So black gone for knight takes f3. You cannot take the queen because there is a check by knight. So queen takes f3, and now he played e5. So here white played h6, queen e7, and now what should we play? So here rook to e2. So rook takes g5, and white gone for rook takes e5. Black played queen d6. Now it's a cross pin. Now this rook is actually pinned by the queen also, and there is a chances to discover attack also. So rook cannot be moved. Now if I ask you what should white play in this position, pause your video and find out what is the best move for the white in this game. Wonderful. If you find the move queen to g3. Now this is rook takes queen is not possible, because if we take, then rook takes bishop will come, and this is going to be a checkmate. Of course you can just try it, but again there is a double check with the bishop and check with the rook also. Let's go back. Rook takes e5, queen d6, queen g3, and now if we take queen takes h6, given a check, but the problem is queen h3 check, queen d6 again he had to pin. And now king h1, rook to g8, back to avoid, but still it will not work because rook takes e8. It's a discovered check, and this is impossible to stop it. Like this rook is again pinned. Let's go one more example of windmill. This is a straightforward example. This example has been taken from Boost Your Chess part 1 by Yusupov. I'll try to share the link of PDF or assignment below the video, or you can contact me for that PDF book of Yusupov. Fantastic book, and this is the first puzzle of Windmill, chapter 1, Boost Your Chess part 1. Now here you can pause the video and find out how should white continue in this game. It's a white to play and start the windmill. Now for to develop create a windmill, we want to take rook takes g6, but the problem is this rook is actually guarding that g6. So first we'll go and we'll sacrifice our we'll sacrifice queen takes g5, h takes g5, which is force, and now rook takes g6. There is no square for this king, so king has to go h7. Now rook takes g6, king g8, only move, again check, again rook to h7, rook takes d6. Pawn takes is not possible because it's a discovered check. King g8, rook g6, king h7, rook takes bishop, king g8, rook g6, king h7, rook takes b6 again, king g8, rook g6, king h7, and now finally rook to a6, king g8, and rook takes a2. And you can see with this windmill from this position, after this sack, white has captured all the pieces almost: pawn, bishop, black bishop, light square bishop, then pawn on b6, and ultimately queen on a2. So this is wonderful windmill. I'm just repeating for you to understand it better. And this is finally we are rook takes a2, and this is called windmill. Let's go one more example of it. Let's see again windmill. How should white continue from this win? This is the last example, so just check it out. Take a 3 to 4 minutes in this position. How white to play and win this game. Pause the video and try to find out. Okay, fantastic. If you find this move, queen takes f6, bang, queen takes f6. Now white is having only after 2 bishops and rook in this game. So the move here is rook bishop to h6 first, king g8, and now we'll start the windmill, rook to g7. King f8, rook takes c7, king g8, rook to g7, check again, Discover check, rook takes b7, taking one more pawn. Rook to g8, rook to g7 again, king f8, rook takes a7 again, king g8, and now bishop f7 in this position. So now there is no option because it's checkmate. So queen takes f7, and here you can find out the mate in one by playing rook takes a8, and this is gonna be win the game. I'll share the link of below this video. I'll share the link of game of the century played by the Bobby Fischer and the PDF file also of Windmill. So just go through it. Thank you.